Phonics is the answer. What is the question? Phonics is the relationship between the letters of written language and the sounds of spoken language. Were you taught phonics as you learned to read? Which phonics rules do you recall? What methods did you use to learn and practice phonics skills? Were they effective? Fact: children's reading development is dependent on their understanding of the alphabetic principle. Alphabetic principle is the idea that letters and letter patterns represent the sounds of spoken language. Alphabetic principle helps readers to recognize new words quickly and decode new words independently. What do children need to know before they can acquire the alphabetic principle? The purpose of phonics instruction. The goal of phonics instruction is to help children to learn to be able to use the alphabetic principle. The purpose of phonics instruction is not that they learn to sound out words, but that they learn to recognize words quickly and automatically so that they can turn their attention to comprehension of text. Stephen Stahl, 1992. Phonics instruction is important because it helps children learn the relationships between the letters of written language and the sounds of spoken language. It leads to an understanding of the alphabetic principle, the systematic and predictable relationship between written letters and spoken words. Developers of the Y-Fort wrote the test with these beliefs in mind. Best practice for phonics instruction. Use a variety of alphabetic knowledge activities. Integrate games, songs, and movement activities that help children learn to name letters quickly. Embed writing activities to encourage children to practice writing the letters they are learning. Use sensible sequence of letter introduction that can be adjusted to the needs of children. Do you agree or disagree? There is a good deal of consistency in the letter-sound relationships in the English language. Fill in the blank. Phonics instruction should begin with the teaching of blank. Consonants with more than one sound, consistent and frequent consonants, vowels, or diphthongs. The Literacy Teaching Guide for Phonics offers a scope and sequence. In addition to this scope and sequence, the letters A, M, T, S, I, F are suggested for beginning the focus on phonics instruction. Characteristics of effective phonics instruction. Effective phonics lessons are active. Students are engaged. They're social, interactive. They're reflective. Students make sense of what they've learned. They're systematic, methodical, orderly, regular, organized, efficient, and logical. They're sequential, pre-planned skill sequence that progresses from easier to more difficult. They're cumulative because they build on previous lessons and experiences. They are explicit. The teacher explains and models, offers guided practice, gives corrective feedback, offers extended practice on skills as needed by individuals, and checks for understanding. Effective phonics instruction is applied to text. Students practice reading the skill taught in isolated words, word lists, and decodable books. They use active vocal response. Students talk and interact with the instructor. The lesson is not quietly completing worksheets alone. There are 5 approaches to phonics instruction. Analogy phonics instruction is teaching students to recognize that the rhyme segment of an unfamiliar word is identical to that of a familiar word, and then blending the known rhyme with a new word and onset. For example, a student reads the word brick by recognizing that ick is contained in the known word kick. Analytic phonics, teaching students to analyze letter-sound relationships in previously learned words to avoid pronouncing sounds in isolation. Synthetic phonics is teaching students to explicitly convert letters into sounds or phonemes and then blend the sounds to form recognizable words. Embedded phonics is teaching students phonics skills by embedding phonics instruction in text reading, a more implicit approach that relies to some extent on incidental learning. Phonics through spelling is teaching students to segment words into phonemes and to select letters for those phonemes, that is, teaching students to spell words phonemically. Explore activities on FCRR. Which skill does it focus on? Is it categorized correctly on the website? Where does this fall within the scope and sequence? What accommodations or extensions can be added to reach a wider range of learning needs? Assess background knowledge. How are decoding and word recognition different? What is the purpose of each? Word recognition. Whole word, sound by sound, syllable by syllable. Queuing systems. What are your thoughts about the 3 queuing systems? Semantics, syntax, phonics. Sight words. For skilled readers, virtually all words have become sight words. Memorizing high-frequency words holistically is not the answer. The most powerful mechanism for eventually accessing words by sight is the use of graphophonemic structure, a process that fuses the word's units into memory. Linnea Airy, 1978. Word recognition. Words can be identified 5 different ways. Kamai and Katz, 2012. 1, by identifying and blending together the individual phonemes in words. 2, by noticing and blending together familiar spelling patterns. 3, by recognizing words as whole units or reading them by sight. 4, making analogies to other words that are already known. 5, by using clues from the context to guess a word's identity. Word recognition development. Noticing and blending familiar spelling patterns, common spelling patterns, ak, ite, unk, eat, a, ash, l. Whole word recognition. Words become committed to memory by sight. Orthographic processing. Recognizing words by sight. Decoding these words automatically is a measure of reading fluency. Making analogies to other known words, sounds like or looks like, car, cart, fountain, mountain. Determining the word by using context clues. Guess identity of a word from the context it is in, looking at pictures on a page, looking at the meaning of a passage. Word recognition activity, making words. Start with tip, change one letter to make it say tap, add 1 letter to make it say tape, change 1 letter to make it say gape, change the order to make it say page, add 1 letter to make it say pages. How many new words can you make? Word walls. Use high-frequency words. Portable word walls can be on folders, chunking word walls, content area word walls, or theme word walls. Visual phonics. The phonics lesson. What goes into a phonics lesson? Phonics lesson. A process for explicit and systematic phonics teaching, assessment for and of learning, planning, instruction, cycle back to assessment for and of learning. Elements of a synthetic phonics lesson. Sound, phonemic awareness, letter-sound association often uses a card, blending, word building, reading decodable text, application in other contexts. Watch the sample lesson 1. Phonics lesson. Planning tips. Use assessment data to figure out where to start in the scope and sequence. Planning for synthetic phonics instruction. Foundations of reading test practice. A first grade teacher can most effectively support first graders' development of rapid automatic word recognition by first teaching students how to A, apply consistent phonics generalizations in common words, B, use context cues to determine the meaning of words, C, identify the constituent parts of multisyllable words, D, look up unfamiliar words in the dictionary. Which of the following best describes the relationship between word decoding and reading comprehension in a beginning reader's development? A, decoding skills and reading comprehension skills tend to develop independently of one another. B, reading comprehension skills directly facilitate the development of decoding skills. C, development of decoding skills is secondary to the development of reading fluency and comprehension skills. D, rapid automatic decoding skills help facilitate development of reading fluency and comprehension. When learning letter-sound correspondence, beginning readers are most likely to require the most instruction in decoding which of the following? A, ship, B, dime, C, hot, D, best.